Hey everyone, it's Habiba. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to join you for another video. So as you all know by now, I am the author of this book, #Black in School, published by the University of Regina Press. So this book is a series of diary entries that I wrote while I was in high school as a way to document my journey in high school, some of the challenges that I was having, and how I overcame some of those difficult moments. So I want to talk to you about one chapter. I'm going to do a chapter highlight right here, just one chapter in the book called That English Class Was Effed. So every now and then, I'll probably hop on my channel and just discuss a chapter or so from my book, just selected chapters that I decide to highlight. And I'll highlight them as they relate to the larger discussion of anti-Black racism in society and belonging and inclusion in education, in schools. So this chapter is in part 1 of the book on page 13. And so I'm not going to do a spoiler. I'm not going to read the chapter to you. Essentially, in this chapter, I speak of something I overheard when I was in the bathroom one school day. And the understanding I drew from that experience was that there's often so much discomfort when anti-Black racism is discussed, when it is discussed in the classroom. People often become bored or annoyed, or they feel it's a waste of time. They don't get why educators need to talk about anti-Black racism to their students, why there should be discussions around this in the first place. And I often ask myself, but why? Why is there so much discomfort around discussing anti-Black racism? Particularly when we live in societies, we live in a world that is fundamentally racist. And anti-Black racism is yet another very important example of oppression, of injustice, of a human rights abuse, in the same way that human trafficking, modern-day slavery, violence against women are also very important examples of injustices that persist today. And we know that anti-Black racism is directly tied to the transatlantic slave trade and enslavement in the Americas and in Europe as well. So in the Americas, countries such as Canada, America, Brazil, and so on. And this enslavement constituted 400 years of gross human rights abuses against enslaved Black people. And the goal, the objective of slavery was for it to be never ending, was for it to be perpetual. That was the objective of the master class, for slavery to continue from mother to child and future generations. Fortunately, it came to an end. However, there have been lasting consequences which can be seen today in the treatment and the perception of Black people throughout the world. Yet we're often told that we shouldn't talk about it, that other people shouldn't talk about it either. Non-Black people, say educators in the classroom, for example, shouldn't talk about it, that we should just get over it. But the funny thing is, the world isn't over it. So my challenge to you is listen intently. Just try to be a listener and try to be humble next time racism is spoken about on TV, in the classroom, or in a friendly discussion. And just some thoughts I want to share with you before I sign off. And these are some comments that I heard when delivering presentations for some schools. So after a presentation I had done some months ago, through which I had the privilege of meeting a Black educator at this particular school, she mentioned to me that she has a heart that's bleeding every single day. And that racism, one thing she wants people to understand is that racism goes beyond being a good person. Because as a Black person, she's always watched over and scrutinized in her day-to-day interactions as she moves throughout the world. And then I heard from a young Black student who actually began to cry as she voiced her thoughts. And she said to the group, "I always see white people on the walls in the school hallways. What about us?" Those were her exact words, "What about us?" And that's something I unpack in a chapter of the book called On Posters in the School on page 43. So stay tuned for a couple more chapter highlights and check out some of my other videos on the topic. I hope to join you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.